Also yesterday, a city council committee approved $51 million for migrants assistance and goes to full council later this month. Alderman Pat Dowell chairs the Committee on Budget and Governmental Affairs.
It clearly is not enough money to address the crises that we have going on in the city right now. We're getting between 100 to 150 new migrants a day.
Later.
We got it right. We got it right. You got 18,000 ex-cons with no housing. Did y'all know that? Yes. Black men, y'all use us. They use us to fill prisons and graveyards. 18,000 black cons. I don't see none of y'all fighting for that. I don't see none of y'all fighting for that. Yet you expect for us to fight and support you all. We've been supporting forever our Latino brothers. My Latino brothers coming in and out of prison. I don't see y'all even fighting for them.
We have it here. We have it here.
Where? We're not. My whole objective is we done rejected the immigrants. We want that, but you can't get in front of us. That's all we're saying.
We want to do it together.
It's been happening. $51 million shouldn't be given when we have no job, no employment, no nothing.
This plan is exactly to be able to say how.
I don't see black men in that.
We were not at the table.
We're presenting nothing. There's no voting on. We're presenting nothing.
But you're presenting something without our voice.
You're asking to be able to.
You're presenting it. You're about to present it without any of us at the table.
This is not presented to the city council yet. We're going to be presented with you.
This is a draft.
We haven't seen it.
This is a draft to be able to
grab it.
All right, guys, so on this edition of You Get What You Vote For, we have to head back out to Chicago, one of my favorite cities to talk about, because quite literally, it is a prime example of what happens when you vote Democrat for decades and you get the policies that you ask for, right? It becomes an absolute disaster, okay? The city is in a state of chaos, and things only get worse, okay? It's not just the crime. You also have the illegal immigration crisis, the border crisis that has showed up to Chicago because Governor Greg Abbott of Texas has been shipping illegal immigrants to Chicago because, hey, they're a sanctuary city, right? They're welcoming towards migrants. They want illegals, okay? And last time we checked in on Chicago, we were checking in on the black progressive liberals, okay, black women of Chicago that voted overwhelmingly for Democrats, voted overwhelmingly for Biden, voted overwhelmingly for Brandon Johnson, who also supports illegals, okay, living in the city. They were pissed. They were pissed off because their locally elected officials decided to try to house illegal immigrants in a local high school that was unused, okay? The community wanted to repurpose that high school for the longest time. Nothing ever happened. Now, all of a sudden, illegals have come into their neighborhood, and now the local elected officials want to do something with it, aka house illegals, okay? Using up local resources, okay, and funds for illegals, right? And they were pissed off about that, okay? They let those locally elected officials know that we're not having this. We're already dealing with crime. Now we have to deal with this. They were not happy, okay? But hey, they got what they voted for. In this video, we got to check in on the white liberals of Chicago, or put it this way, most likely white liberals, okay, probably Biden voters, okay, that are pissed off, okay, at their local officials, okay. This is in Northwest Chicago. This is where we're in the Northwest neighborhood here. They're pissed off because their local officials also have a plan to house illegal immigrants at a local community college. And again, they're not happy about what's happening here. Take a look.
What ward are you from?
I'm from the 4th ward.
4th ward. Well, your ward should be assessed money to pay for this. If you're Alderman
Because
Vogt,
I live in the 4th ward and believe that human beings are never illegal. Yes.
why should I pay? I don't want to pay.
Because this is about humanity.
No, it's not about
yes,
humanity. You ever hear the term?
You're doing a NIMBY, not in my backyard.
No. I'm doing is, it's all about money. Money, honey.
When Mayor Lightfoot was in, she agreed to have Chicago to be a sanctuary city. And where is she now? She's gone.
Another heated community meeting tonight over the placement of migrants.
This time, the city has its sights set on a Northwest Side college as temporary housing.
And a lot of neighbors do not like the idea. Tia Ewing is live with more. Tia.
Well, you said it there, Dawn. A lot of neighbors do not like the idea. There was a lot of mixed emotion here, a lot of opinion from Portage Park residents and also residents from the Dunning community, all voicing their opinions about this move tonight. At times there was booing, at other times there was clapping. The meeting unfolded in the space where the asylum seekers would temporarily call home.
The room was filled to capacity at one point, Chicago residents making their voices heard.
You can be compassionate, but you can't be foolish.
As more than 8,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago since August of 2022, and that number is still going up as Chicago tries to deal with the crisis. On the table is the plan to house them here at Wilbur Wright College, many asking the question about the city's plans moving forward. What are you gonna do? Some on the Northwest side support it.
We've all struggled along the way and needed help, every one of us. It's time to pay it forward. These are people. They're not political pawns.
And many others don't.
We're inviting in like a magnet. Everybody come here, collect all your freebies. We're going to give it to you. Every sucker in here is going to pay for it.
Who's paying? Nobody wants the answer.
400 migrants would be housed at the college during the summer months from June 1st to August 1st. Classes would resume. Some question policing of the temporary shelter moving forward.
The police department is going to make frequent visits here, which means if they're making frequent visits here, they're not out there.
There's plenty of resources to staff providing safety. So Wright College is part of our community. So to understand that.
Again, you heard it. That room was full of emotion. Now, a city official did tell me that they plan to give this plan to the city college's board to vote on this week. And if they vote yes, that means the migrants would be moving in ahead of that June 1st date. Live from the Dunning community, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
Yeah, so we have an extremely interesting phenomenon going on here when it comes to voters in Chicago, okay? Because you could say for the most part, if you look at the area as a whole, these are overwhelmingly Biden supporters, okay? These people supported Biden. However, they tend to be more in the middle, right? Because they didn't vote for Brandon Johnson. Okay, they overwhelmingly voted for Paul Hallis, okay, who was the moderate Democrat, okay? That's the way he framed himself, the moderate Democrat, okay? But for the most part, these are Democratic voters, okay, for the most part. But it's interesting because you do have a section here of Chicago, Harwood Heights, in which this college, Wilbur Wright College, seems to be located either in that neighborhood or very close to that neighborhood. They voted for Trump, right? They voted for Trump in 2020. It's pretty fascinating because back in 2019, it's interesting, during the mayor race, they did not vote overwhelmingly for Lori Lightfoot during the general election, okay? But they did vote for Obama's chief of staff, okay, Bill Daley, okay, before going on to vote for Lightfoot in the runoff. And we all know that Lori Lightfoot has been instrumental as mayor in regards to saying that Chicago is a sanctuary city, welcoming immigrants into the city. Okay. In fact, you know, she went to war publicly with ICE back in 2020, even going as far as to defend an illegal immigrant that was accused of sexual assault. Take a look.
I assume that's coming because I had a conversation with the director of ICE last week to talk about why it was that he decided to arrest this person after he dropped off his daughter at school in front of an entire school community and traumatizing them. So we had a very candid and blunt conversation. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I know how surveillance is done. And really, if they believed that there was a serious issue around sexual assault, why did they wait until he left his home with a child? They could have done that at any point along the line, and particularly in the home, because I'm sure they were doing surveillance of him. So, look, they're critical because we have said very clearly we are a welcoming city, we're a sanctuary city. Chicago Police Department will not cooperate with ICE on any immigration-related business, and that's affected their ability to conduct immigration raids across the city. But that's exactly our intention. We have to make sure that our police department is seen as a legitimate force in all communities, and we cannot do that if we're participating in raids with a weaponized and politicized ICE. We're not doing that in Chicago.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand, Lori Lightfoot, who hates Trump, and you know Democrats love being a sanctuary city under Trump, okay, when the border was actually under control, right, when the crisis wasn't at their doorstep, she went so far as to defend that status that she essentially, again, went to war with ICE, who had previously deported a man, okay, who was back in the U.S., who got arrested by the Chicago Police Department for theft and was supposed to be held until ICE could gain custody of that man again so that he could be deported again. But the Chicago Police Department released him back into the streets. And then after that, he ended up assaulting a 3-year-old girl in a McDonald's restaurant. Again, it's insane, right? These Democrats are insane. And again, fast forward to 2023, with this illegal immigration crisis being directly at the doorstep of Chicago. Unsurprisingly, okay, you're having issues with illegal immigrants engaging in criminal activity, except this time the city is just paying for it. They're kind of sponsoring it and, you know, allowing them to also live a life of luxury while, again, being here illegally and some of whom committing crimes. Take a look.
I'm reporter William J. Kelly. I'm here at the Standard Club of Chicago, which used to be one of the premier private clubs in the city. Now it is an emergency migrant shelter and the home of a newly arrived 27-year-old Venezuelan migrant named Elvis Diaz Betancourt, who has just been charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Betancourt was caught on camera at Pritzker Park stabbing another migrant in the hip until his internal organs were visible. A Cook County judge set his bail at $20,000 to get him out of jail on electronic monitoring, perhaps so he can enjoy some of the Standard Club's luxury amenities. Maybe Betancourt can take a seat near the grand fireplace, or take a dip in the pool with towel service. Experience the best Chicago has to offer. The Standard Club was recently acquired by Remo Pacelli, who also owns the Inn of Chicago, the subject of my previous viral migrant hotel investigation. Pacelli has been convicted of tax evasion and went to federal prison for 27 months. He still owes the IRS $2 million. But thanks to Mayor Lightfoot, Chicago is apparently paying him per migrant on the taxpayer's dime. You can't make this stuff up. And why would you want to? I'm reporter William J. Kelly in Chicago.
Yeah, so while Chicago residents are complaining about the migrant crisis, while migrants, illegals, are committing crimes, okay, and staying in luxury hotels, you have Chicago City Council considering using an additional $51 million. $51 million to help with the migrant crisis. Take a look.
It was one of the most anticipated votes at today's City Council meeting, a proposal to allocate $51 million in surplus money to fund the migrant crisis. It was a vote that never happened after 3 aldermen, including the 15th Ward's Ray Lopez, used a procedural maneuver to shelve it.
To say that you need $51 million more just to get us through the end of July is an outrageous ask when you won't tell us how you're going to spend that money, least of all how you spent the previous money, and what you're going to do come August 1st when this money runs out and we still have no solution in sight.
Even as hundreds of migrants continue to sleep on police station floors all across the city, the idea of allocating city funds to pay, to house and support an ever-increasing number of arrivals is a controversial one. Natasha Dunn was among a large group of opponents who attended and spoke at the meeting.
They're putting migrants against us. We feel like there's this tug of war, and it shouldn't be, because if there's money for everyone, then it shouldn't be a problem for us to also get $50 million to go toward the needs that have been pressing in our communities.
In an effort to address the housing crisis, not just for migrants, but for the entire city's homeless population, Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez and his staff today unveiled a 3-phase initiative that would take care of the immediate emergency with an eye towards achieving permanent housing for all, specifically pinpointing Daly College as a temporary shelter site.
Daly College has 4 buildings that are currently not in use. If we were to open them immediately, they would immediately be able to house 600 people.
As for the funding, Alderman Byron Sigcho Lopez telling ABC7 that the vote will take place during next Wednesday's City Council meeting.
Yeah, so it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing to see how Chicago City Council and the Democrats running that city, the liberals running that city, you have these empty buildings, okay? And they did not think to purpose these empty buildings for their actual American homeless population there, okay? In which, again, they had that problem before. I mean, they had people sleeping at airports, right? That was an issue that Lori Lightfoot had to deal with. But when the illegals show up, all of a sudden, they can find space to house them. But actual Americans, a lot of whom are probably, you know, veterans, right? Oh, no, we didn't think to repurpose any of this empty space for them, right? Actual Americans. Again, it's just funny how that works. You see the priorities of liberals and Democrats. It's always America last, okay? Americans are always at the back seat, especially if you're middle class, right? If you're a middle class American, you are way at the back of the line, okay? You're at the back of the line when it comes to the Democrat Party, okay? In their policies, because their policies tend to hurt the middle class the most. Again, especially when you're talking about this illegal immigration crisis, who has showed up. They've showed up to the suburbs, right? They showed up to middle-class neighborhoods, and you can see the backlash, right? You can see the backlash that's happening here. It's just, again, it's just fascinating to see all these liberal cities and all these people who, again, overwhelmingly vote Democrat, all of a sudden now they're becoming bigots, right? And racist, okay? They're becoming bigots and racist when the illegal immigration crisis shows up to their doorstep, when it's in their city, okay? But again, before, red states, border states like Texas were told to suck it up. You just got to handle it. You just got to deal with it, okay? Stop being xenophobic. It's just hilarious. It really is. This is probably one of my favorite things of 2023, if not for the fact that, you know, again, these people are still here in this country. It doesn't matter if they're in a liberal city. I would much rather them be deported. But hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.